Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss about connecting to SQLite database with the help of Blue Prism. For this, we have created a small VBO with the help of Blue Prism code stage. Let's get started. So what we have done, I mean, I'll show you the step-by-step things that we have performed, and also I'll help you to configure SQLite because you should know the correct libraries to use, otherwise it will not work. As SQLite, the name itself explains, it's a lightweight database. SQLite, it's a lightweight database. Typically, you no need to install any of the softwares to work with SQLite database. That is the beauty of SQLite. And for that we need specific libraries. Those libraries should be available within a Blue Prism runtime. I'll show you how to access all those things. And before moving to it, I'll just open and show you what all are the things for there. I have created this utility. I named it as utility -SQLite helper. You can see the basic settings, like what we need to do. Of course, I didn't added any global code, but I did added a library called system.data.sqlite.dll. Usually, we will get an inbuilt library along with Blue Prism, that is system.data.sql client, that is for Microsoft SQL Server communication. So yeah, this one you can see it over here. If this particular SQL client is available, means you can communicate with your SQL Server database. However, if you wanted to communicate with SQLite database, you need system.data.sqlite.dll. So I do have that library, and I'll explain you how to use, as it is not available over here. This will not work technically. And also we need to import this namespace over here, and I have selected my programming language as C# as usual. And now I'm closing my Object Studio, and also I'll close my Blue Prism, because I think last time we have discussed, if you wanted to add any of the third-party libraries or custom built libraries, or the libraries which you feel is required in your Blue Prism object but not available along with your Blue Prism, you should close the Blue Prism first. Then only you should add your library, the Blue Prism automate folder, and restart, or maybe open your Blue Prism again. Then only Blue Prism will start loading the actual library. Otherwise it will not be available. It is very simple. Okay, I'm closing my Blue Prism, and I have the libraries. If you see the libraries, I do have total one major library. As I told you, this is system.data.sqlite.dll, and we need two additional libraries. One is sqlite.interop.dll and sqlite3.dll. These two libraries are very much important. If you miss these two libraries, SQLite will not work. And also, if your application architecture is x86, these two libraries will get utilized. And if your application architecture is x64, these two libraries will get utilized. Anyways, by default, if you can see, my Blue Prism is installed in x86. Obviously, the Blue Prism version is x86 version. If you can place x86, that is more than sufficient, but still if you wanted to place all these things, still okay. Because there is a folder here inside your Blue Prism Automate that is called x86, but it won't hamper anything. Simply you can add completely. Right now I'm adding only SQLite system.data.sqlite.dll, and after that I'll try to place these two folders over here. You can see we have only x86 but not x64. If you open x86, there is no SQLite and drop the DLL, and there is no SQLite 3. Okay, and I don't see any x64 folder, but I tried pasting it over here. What it will do, it will simply add the things to the existing folder, and it created a new folder x64, okay, with these two libraries. And we do have x86. Within the x86, existing files were there as is, along with these two libraries which were required by SQLite database. Now our major task is done, and I'll be sharing these files along with this object in my GitHub repository. You can download these things and you can utilize them. And let's jump to our Blue Prism. Yeah, so I have logged in. We will open Object Studio, which is, oops, wrong one. Perfect. So basically what we have done, we have created total three actions. One is create table action, execute query with result, execute query without result. So why we need these two, with result and without result? Sometimes if you wanted to insert a record, you may or may not expect the result. Simply it's a very simple insert data. And if you wanted to update an existing record, again, you may or may not expect any of the result. And also, in another scenario, you wanted to simply delete a record. So for that case also, usually no one will expect a result. In that case, if you wanted to uh, execute a query without any result, you can use this particular action, and we have execute query with result. This will return a collection based on your query. Most of the cases, this will be very much helpful. Like select star from table name, you just apply your where condition. That will brings you a result collection which was showed over here. So this will get filled, and with the data that we have posted. And I have clearly given the parameters that it will expect. Like it will expect two input parameters, connection and query, and it is going to give you one output parameter, that is result collection. Okay, and coming to the first option, create table. So what typically create table will do is, it will expect a table name, connection string, and a create table query. Why table name and create table query? Because if the table is already exist, there is a possibility of throwing an exception. The object is already exist. To avoid these kind of scenarios, sometimes we need to play the fair game. Like you just pass on the table name along with the create table query. What we are doing is, I'll open the code and I'll show you, and I'll explain you what it is typically doing. Okay, so we have written a query that is select name from SQLite master where type equals to table and the name equals to table name. So we are taking table name as our input parameter, and what we are trying to do, we are trying to query SQLite master metadata table to select a table with the name of the given input table name. If uh, that particular table name is already exist, then we will not create because table was already there. If the table was not there, then we will go and create. So we have just added an additional check to validate the table is exist or not. So basically, how did we do? Simply here you can see we have a connection. If the connection, user didn't provide it, simply add a message to the result variable and just exit. That's it. Don't do anything because connection is required. And the second table name is required. If you didn't provide the table name, put the result message as table required and return. And the third one, create table query. This is required. If user didn't provide it create table query, then exit. Yeah, you can modify the result message. That is copy paste typo. And this is the query that we are using to actually select the name based on the table name, because I just don't want to use string concatenation to avoid SQL injection attacks. So simply I have parameterized this query, and I have created a variable of boolean type, and I just passed it as false. And SQLite connection, created an object for SQLite connection by passing connection string, and have tried to open the connection. If your connection string contains any issues, or maybe the SQLite database got corrupted, something happened, obviously this will throw an exception. If something went wrong while opening the database connection, it will throw an exception. So that is the reason I have kept a try catch. Whenever an exception is got thrown, we are catching it over here, and we are simply returning the result with the exception message. This will be helpful for a developer to add logs, so that you can understand what exactly happened. And finally, we are just closing the connection, and we are moving forward. And inside, what we are doing, connection created, then we have created a command with the help of connection, and we added the metadata table query which was created over here, and we have added table name parameter over here. We just executed this query with the help of execute reader. What is the specialty of execute reader? It will execute the query and collects the data from the DB, because it typically holds data, and we are iterating through the reader to get the name of the table, and we are trying to compare it with the table name provided by the user, which is an input input variable to our action. If both are matched, means table is already exist. If table is exist, don't create it. If table is not exist, then go and create table, because we are passing table query to the command text, and we are executing non query. This will create actual table. So this is the typical code of table creation. What I will do is I will quickly execute this particular action, and we'll see it in action. Yeah, I have a folder in my D drive slash database, and I will delete this. So I do have a connection string like D drive database SQLite database.db. Here I wanted to create my database, and yeah, This is my connection string. Just paste your connection string without double quotes, and table name, my table name, I just wanted to create a table name called a demo table. Okay, so I'll give as demo table, and I want to create this table. This is typical SQL: create table, demo table, ID type of integer, and name of type text. That is nothing but varchar. Okay, we have added, and let's execute. Bingo. So we received a result called success, because if it is got created, it will simply gives us success message. Even if I try to execute it again, we'll see what will happen. Oops. It's still given me success. Might be it didn't created any of the table. Okay, and we'll do one thing. I'll show you how to execute query without result code. It will take connection and query as input. There were no outputs. Okay, we do have a message output, and code is almost similar. Just verify the required parameters are passed or not, and just open the connection, create the command. This will be the query, execute non-query. That's it. It's over. Nothing much over here to explain. So we'll try to insert a record. Same connection string, and I'll add query to insert a record. This is typical SQL query. Let's refresh, execute. See, we got a success message. Okay, I'll try to execute another one, because I wanted to see more than one record in my table. Let's see how it will work. Again, it given me a success message. Now we'll jump to execute query with result. What is here? So typically it is taking connection and a query, and it is trying to result two options. One is result collection and another one is message. Message is for logging purpose, and result collection will typically gives you the output result. Let's jump to the code. What we have here, we have result collection, and I have initialized it with empty data table. Data table is equivalent to collection in the Blue Prism. And even if you wanted to see the data type, simply you can see it over here, out result collection of system.data table. So I have just initialized the collection and cross verified whether the connection was passed and query was passed or not. If everything is okay, create the connection and open the connection. Here, small tweak. Here we are not using SQL command. Simply we are trying to use SQLite adapter. So what this particular adapter will do, it will takes connection and query, and it is capable of executing the query inside the DB, and it will collect the data, simply fills it into the collection. That is the speciality of data adapter. So here we are trying to use SQL adapter to select the data and push it to the result collection. Let's see it in the action. Okay, we need to pass the connection string, the same connection string that we have used for creating a database. and I do have select star from demo table query. I will use this refresh hit. There you go. The log message was success, and you can see result collection is showing 2 records. There you go. Okay, James Smith and Jenny Smith. Perfect. So these are the basic operations that I try to perform. If you wanted to perform any kind of operations like updating table, updating record, and deleting a record, all these things can be performed very easily with this reusable object. And if you wanted to see how this SQLite database looks like, so I do have a DB browser for SQLite. It's an open source tool. Anybody can download it. It's a plug and play kind. You no need to install anything. Just download and double click. It will get open. And we have open database option here because I'm not creating any new database. Just move to my DB location is D drive database. I'll just jump to D drive database. Yeah, so this is got created. You can see the timestamp. When I click OK, see, you can see we have one table. Table name is demo table, which contains ID and name. Okay, you can see everything. And if you wanted to see the data, you can select the option of browse data. Within the browse data, we do have ID and name. 1, 2, James Smith and Jenny Smith. Finally, that's all I have. Please feel free to post your questions. You can just comment if you have any questions, and I'll be posting my GitHub link. I'll upload this object to my GitHub repository as usual, and also libraries will be posted in the same repository. You can find the links in the description, video description. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.